Hi everyone, my name is Deshni Devan. I'm an occupational therapist, have been so for almost 30 years. And probably for about 50% of that time, I've worked in the field of persistent chronic pain. I have a company called Pain Coach where I mentor and teach clinicians about pain. And this is Pain Bytes. It's my podcast where I interview people with persistent pain about their pain experience. But it's slightly different in that we look at the positive aspects and how people can really find a way to overcome their negative aspects or help them, aspects that will help them in their recovery. So today I have Pete Moore. He's very well known. He is a coach, an author, and he has someone who has suffered with persistent pain for a really, really long time. So hello, Pete. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you very much, and thanks very much for inviting me on to your podcast. I'm looking forward
Yeah,
to
I'm glad we finally got here. It took us a little bit of organizing in terms of diaries and schedules. So I'm really glad to host you and I finally got to chat to you today. So Pete, to start off with, I always ask all the people that I interview, just to tell me, and for the audience to understand a little bit about that space that you were in before things got better.
yeah.
So, that space when things were really hard and some of the people that I've treated, but also some of the people I've interviewed have called it a prison, they've called it a black hole, they've called it, this place where they just thought they were never going to
Mm.
climb out of. To tell us a little bit of where you were before things got better.
Well, back in the day, I mean, I think I'd experienced back then. I just had back pain, and but back in the day, even before it became persistent back pain, I had back pain from now and again, and I would manage it by perhaps resting and or taking over-the-counter medication. But my back pain become, I suppose, where I went into the persistent part. It was the same. I don't know the audience, but people watching this was the same day that Windsor Castle went up in smoke, and because there's nothing to do with me, but I was painting a house actually opposite the castle that day, and I just happened to look over there that oh, blimey, what's all that smoke coming out, and but anyway, little was I to know that that's the only part of me and royalty have in common. But when I went home that evening from painting the house, the next morning I couldn't get out of bed really, and found out I had prolapsed several discs in my back, two lower back and one in the middle. And like most people, so I tried to, well, I saw the GP, the general practitioner, and I was given the usual medication of strong painkillers and anti-inflammatory. This was about 1992. I think it was well, I don't know. I think it was the same date. Well, I know it was the same date as the castle went up in smoke. But from as we're getting old now, I can't
Yeah.
get mixed up with dates. Anyway, for me it was 92, and then as I really struggled really because see back then there wasn't, it was just taking painkillers or operations and stuff like that, but anyway, for the first year I was just taking, I was stuck in I was on, I call it the merry-go-round, or the medical model, where I was seeing endless healthcare professionals. So I would see the GP every 6 weeks for more pills. I'd be sent for an MRI scan, ultra scans and physiotherapy and whatnot. And I was sort of really just going around, I call it the NHS carousel.
Yeah.
And but I was also looking for answers really from the private sector,
Yeah.
where the so I was seeing osteopaths, chiropractors, physiotherapists, and a lot of other the complementary
Yeah.
stuff as well. I spent, in actual fact, all in all, I spent about, I don't know what it would be in South African money, but it was just I spent about £8,000 uh,
Wow.
doctor shopping, therapy shopping, so I called it, and
Yeah.
nothing really was working really. In fact, what I was trying to do, see, I know at the end of the day, back pain, it was my problem, but I was, still that thinking like most people, here's a problem, you got to fix it,
Yeah.
and after 3 months or 6 months, I started, not only was I having to deal with the back pain, but I was having to deal with the isolation of it, the mental side of it, because people would ring up or call round, how you doing, Pete? And but all I could talk about was back pain. But the thing is, the phone call stopped. The people coming round because they were pretty fed up with me because that's all I could talk about was back pain.
Yeah.
And so not only did I have back pain, I had to deal with isolation and all the mental health sort of side of things. And I know I felt I was just going slowly bonkers, really. I didn't know
Yeah.
what to do. I just couldn't see any future really.
Yeah.
And
So what I'm picking up from you is something that I've seen with many of the people that I've treated, but also it's a story that's quite similar that I've heard more than once, that you're looking for a way out
mm,
and no one can find that, give you
no,
any way or path in which you can get out of this situation, but also that merry-go-round that you talk about, it's so unfortunate, but still today, I mean, you're talking about the 1990s, we're now in what, 2024. It's still the same for people. People are still on that merry-go-round. They go
yeah,
from doctor to doctor. They're
yeah,
just given more and more, 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 more medication,
yeah,
sent from pillar to post, see all kinds of other biomedical professionals. And I agree with you. It's not that back pain can't be improved with some of those things, but they're not the end answer, right? And it's definitely not the end answer if you have persistent pain.
mm.
Um, and so, yes, I appreciate your journey, and I agree with you because it's still happening today. It's
I
nothing's
know, yeah,
changed, it's still
yeah,
happening. And thank you for sharing the isolation and the mental health component, because that I think we don't talk about enough. But I've seen that so many times as well. It's socially isolating because you stop working, you stop doing your hobbies, you stop engaging in any sports, you stop socializing, and then eventually you're just in your little bubble at home. And
yeah,
then people also start to, I don't know, see you less, maybe. Maybe they just always think you're unwell and they just, slowly start to call less, see you less. And it's really a very lonely experience having
yeah,
persistent pain.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
if you would agree with me,
yeah,
Pete.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's one of the most of the emails that I get from others now. That contact the website and isolation,
Yeah,
feeling isolated is one of the big ones really.
yeah,
Because when people have had pain for longer than 3 months, other things start to overtake it, like the isolation, sleep problems, money worries,
yes,
relationship
yes,
things, and
yes,
things those sort of things can't be fixed with a pill, and
yes,
so
yes,
but the medical profession is really geared up for that sort of stuff,
yeah.
it is slowly changing, but it's very, very, very slowly.
I agree. I agree. Okay, we're going to move on to the good stuff now.
Okay,
So,
yeah. So anyway,
what was that first thing? Yeah, what
how did
was
I
that
turn the call? Yeah,
first
there.
thing that sort of, you were in that space, and what was the first thing that happened? And it can be anything, as we've talked about. What happened to actually change that experience for you to start looking at things differently?
Well, I knew I had to be more proactive, and I knew. I always remember there was a saying that I learned: if you want to learn something, teach it. So what I did, I thought, well, there must be others. Like I wanted to learn from other people. Well, how do they manage their back pain? So I started up a back pain support group near where
Yeah,
I lived at the time, and I did I put an advert in the paper, and I expected, about two, no, I suppose I expected a dozen people. But
Yeah.
the first night of the support group, over 40 people arrived.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just bonkers. The venue I booked, it only held comfortably 20 backs, but there's people queuing up outside. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I didn't realise how big a problem it was. So
Yes.
long story short, one of our speakers, someone told me about a pain management program in London called Input, and
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so I contacted them, and say, long story short, a lady called Amanda Williams, she was the clinical psychologist there. She was good enough to come out to us in Essex,
Yeah.
where it was in East London, and she came to talk to the group about
Yeah.
pain management.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the thing is, see, I knew that there had to be something other than painkillers and tests
Yeah.
for this, operations and manipulations. What could I do for myself anyway? So Amanda was talking to the group about what they do at the program, graded exercise, learning pacing. If I learned pacing, I could do more throughout the day without increasing my pain.
Mm.
And my
Mm.
ears went, whoa, whoa, this is exactly what I want. And that was in
Yes.
'94.
Yeah.
And but as like most things in the NHS, wheels move slowly. And I didn't get onto the program. I was in a waiting list, and but I was invited along to the program in July of '96, and that was what really turned a corner for me. I call it. It got me back on track, back in the driving seat, because it gave the program not only gave me the tools and skills to manage my pain, but it gave me back the confidence to manage my pain
Yes.
myself. And I'm pleased to say
Yes.
that
Yeah.
since '97, coming off that program, since '97, I've not had to take any pain medication whatsoever.
Wow. That is amazing, Pete. Can you say
So
that again? Since
yeah, I mean, yeah,
1997, you've
yeah,
not had to take any
no,
pain medication
no. As
because
long
you've
as
been
as
able
long,
to
yeah,
manage your
yeah.
pain differently.
Yeah, because I learned that, the thing is it was like a package, like it was like so when you go and see some healthcare professionals, you get one
Yes. One
bit of
view,
information.
one view,
Yeah.
one
But
approach.
yeah,
Yeah.
but on the program, so you had the pain doctor there, you had the clinical psychologist, you had the occupational therapist, you had the physiotherapist, you had the pain nurses. So you had a package. So you learned things. So it's like learning to drive. You just
Yeah.
wasn't learning how to just drive forward. You was learning how to drive backwards, so turn corners
Yeah,
like
I
that.
like I like that, Peter. I like that analogy. It's like learning how to drive,
Yeah,
right? So it's
yeah,
about learning how to drive your pain journey
yeah,
probably, and making it go in the direction that you need it to go and that it serves you, that it helps you in the way that you need it to
yeah,
work for you.
yeah.
So that I think is great. Unfortunately, we don't have enough of those pain programs available all over the world. I
I
can tell
know.
you for sure we don't have
Yeah,
it
yeah,
enough in South Africa. And for the ones that we do have, it's exactly the same as it
yeah,
is back where you are. We have
mm,
long waiting lists.
yeah,
People can't get on. There's not enough,
yeah,
service
yeah,
providers to provide it. And then there's not enough. So people suffer, unfortunately, because we just can't
yeah,
provide it quickly enough, fast enough to enough people to help enough people. So
yeah,
it is very sad, but like you said, things are changing slowly. So we're holding thumbs that it will eventually become a movement, right? That people will listen to this podcast, they'll listen to all the other people, on the internet and social media talking about it, and hopefully we will get there eventually.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, the next
So,
question. Yeah, yeah. What else do
so
you want to
really, I
say?
mean, the good thing about when I learned all these new skills, that they
Yes.
just didn't help me with the pain then, the back pain.
Yeah.
And as I've become an older person, other health issues have come along.
Yes. Yes.
And so as I've become an older person, with old people, we get arthritis, and in recent years, living with cancer and stuff like that. So, but
Yeah.
all those skills I learned back in '96 have
Yes.
been transferable all the way throughout my life. Like,
Yes.
I'm
Yes. Which
70
is
years old.
great.
Yeah, I mean, back
Yeah,
then,
it's great.
40 odd, but now so just I was 70, or going up 71 actually. But
Yes,
they've all been transferable. So really,
yes.
get an opportunity to get on a brain management program.
And
You're
learn the skills.
like learning to drive. When you learn to,
Yeah,
you're learning lifelong skills that you can use throughout your life. It's the same thing
yeah.
like learning brain management.
I agree. And I think that's a brilliant way of thinking about it.
Hmm.
So then if we have to think about it, in that journey of recovery, what would you say were your top three things? And so we're going to talk about all three. So we're going to talk about what are your top three things that you think helped you in your journey of recovery with pain?
The top three
Oh,
things
yeah. So what would be
was
the first one?
really is find someone like yourself, really, a pain coach,
Yeah.
because you can't. I've not really met anybody who has, especially when you're in a pickle,
Yes.
when you're
Yes.
really struggling. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I didn't mention is that one of the low points of my life, it's on the always remember the day, the 31st of December 1994.
Yeah.
While I was waiting to get on a program, the pain was so went into orbit. That evening, I'd considered ending my life. And
Yeah.
because that's how low, listen, they don't use pain as a torture for nothing. I felt like I was being tortured and I couldn't see any future. All I had to hang on to was that I was going to go on a program, but I didn't know when anyway. But that was then. So really,
Mm.
I always say to people, if you want to, when you want to start moving on, is to track someone down like yourself, someone that knows about supportive pain self-management, that knows about pacings, meaningful movement, relaxation skills, things like that. So that's really, and as I say, you can't. I've never met yet anyone not yet met anyone that's done this all on their own. Really, you need some sort of guidance along the way. Just like coming back to the driving thing, when you learn to
Mm.
drive, there was someone sitting beside you who was guiding you,
Yes.
who was coaching
Yes.
you, and
Yes.
you need someone like you know,
Agreed.
yeah,
Agreed. So for you, that first thing was actually just finding the right person or the right people. In
yeah,
your
you
case, it
might,
was a
yeah,
team. It
yeah,
might be a team if
yeah,
you're lucky
yeah,
enough, but often it sometimes is just that one person who's going to start teaching you some skills,
yeah, yeah,
teaching you about pain, teaching you about how to manage it better. What are the things that you can do yourself that is outside of the medicine and the interventions and the surgeries that often get
yeah,
offered to you when you have persistent pain. So it's really, and I mean, in my previous podcast, the one that actually we what is the word we dropped last week, that went live last week, Virginia, who is on there,
yeah,
she talked about that. She talked about how it's about finding the right support. And if you
yeah,
can't
yeah,
find the right support, it's really difficult, but you
yeah,
have to really look for the right people to support you.
yeah,
And if you find the right people, you're on your way. It's not
yeah,
an easy journey. I mean, I'm sure
no,
you'll agree with me. It's not an
no,
easy journey. It's not a quick journey.
no,
It takes time for you to learn all these skills and to
yeah,
practice it and
yeah,
for it to
yeah,
work for you. But once you can, then you're on your way. That's definitely a
yeah,
great,
yeah,
a great
yeah.
starting point.
And
Okay.
yeah, I mean,
Go
what
on.
Virginia does out there, I know Virginia's good, she's a good friend of mine,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's like we would call it a circle of support. So
Yeah. Yeah.
someone like yourself, a pain coach, but you need to get other people involved, like friends,
Yes.
work colleagues, etc.
Yes.
They got to
Yes.
come on board with you, with those
Yes.
messages, like so. But once you've got
Yes.
your circle of support, well, off you go.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. And so what then would you say would be the second thing? So if you find someone and you find the support, what is the next thing that you think is really important for
You got to
someone with persistent
start
pain?
moving forward. So think about setting goals. I mean, I'm just, what we did on our pain management program. So we set a short-term goal, a medium goal, and long-term goal, and then you think about how you're going to action plan those, how you're going to reach those goals. Because what tends to happen, we're so stuck. Our confidence is shot to pieces. Really, people. When I'm coaching people myself, their confidence, they've gone from can do people to can't do people. So really, it's about getting their confidence back. And the one way to do that is start setting some goals. And I always say to people, when you start setting goals and action plans, is make the goal fun. Make it. Don't start thinking you're gonna, start going for massive walks and whatnot. But have some, because it's about getting your confidence back. Once you've got your
Yes.
confidence back, then you can start thinking about, oh yeah, God, well, yeah, I met Bill down the cafe. We had I met him there, and we had a little chat and everything, and oh yeah, and we paced ourselves and stuff. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna try something a little bit more, start getting adventurous and stuff like that. So setting goals and how you're going to action plan those goals, they're the massive ones. Oh, man.
Yeah, no, I think the goal setting is so important, and we teach that. We teach that,
Yeah,
I teach
excellent.
that very
Good.
often
Yeah,
with
yeah,
my
yeah,
clients. And I think the thing is for me is that people often come to me and I always say to them, we're going to start really small, and it's going to feel like the goal isn't really a goal. You
yeah,
know, it's going to feel like, oh, but that's why would I, that's like really little. How is that going to help me to get to where I need to go? And a great example is someone that I've interviewed on the podcast before. I think it's 2 episodes ago or three. Well, yeah, but her name was Cheryl. She was a client of mine. And when she came to me, Pete, she couldn't stand.
yeah,
She was in a wheelchair. She
yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
walk.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, she'd take a few steps to get from the wheelchair to, the bathroom, but she literally couldn't walk.
yeah,
She was unable to stand for more than 5 minutes. And
mm-hmm.
so for her, our goal literally was to get her to be able to stand for
Yeah,
5 minutes, then 10 minutes,
yeah,
then to be able to stand that she could actually make a cup of tea,
yeah,
and then to be able to stand that she could cook something for herself.
yeah,
And then because yes, it is about standing and walking and sitting, but actually the reason we do that is because we need to be functional, right? We need to go back to doing things for ourselves that we've possibly given up. So I agree with you so much because goal setting is definitely really important, and it's something that I do with all
mm,
my clients. But what I find very interesting is that when I see people with persistent pain, they always want to go back. And I think it's really natural, right? We want to go back to who we were, you know when it happened, we were active, we were doing sport, we were working full time, we were looking after our kids, we were doing all these things, we were working 8-hour days, and now we're not doing anything, and we're basically spending most of our time in bed. And they come to me and they go, I want to go there. And I'm like, yes, we can get close to there. I don't know if I'll get you there, but you have to do a lot of the work here first
yeah.
before you can start to take those, because it's really tiny steps, right? You agree with me? It's tiny
Yeah, oh,
steps
yeah.
to
I
get
mean,
there.
oh, I was saying sometimes you got to go forward. You've got to step back take a couple of steps
Yes.
back,
Yes.
You just take it nice and steady because the thing is, again, with the confidence thing, and the thing is,
Yes.
just if you take on too much,
Yeah.
it's like take it like if you're walking. If you take too big a stride, you'll become
Yeah.
unstable. But if you take
Yes.
short steps, etc., you keep, everything's your fan.
Yes.
You're not going to
Yeah,
wobble and stuff like that. And it's so important to get your confidence back
I
because
agree.
confidence will create more. You'll be able, you get will create confidence,
Yeah, no, I
but
agree
take your
with you.
time.
I completely agree with you. That confidence is really a big deal,
Yeah, yeah,
because if you're not confident, you're not going to try, right?
yeah,
And it is about trying. You have to
yeah,
try.
yeah,
And the
yeah,
problem is you have to try. And if things don't go your way, you have to keep
yeah,
trying. And if you don't have the confidence, you don't keep trying. You just
yeah,
stop. So that
yeah,
confidence, I agree with
yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah,
is a big deal.
yeah.
So I think for you, what I'm hearing from you is we have to find the right support or the right team. We have to set goals, and they need to be realistic. They need to be, goals that are achievable, and you have to do this slowly over time, and you have to get your confidence back, but you only get your confidence back once you start achieving those goals, right? It's all linked. It's
Exactly.
all of it is linked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to give me one more? What do you think?
Yeah, I suppose probably one that's does put people off a bit is about start to move.
Yeah.
And I know the terminology has changed now because back in the day for me, it was all about stretching and exercising.
Yes.
And that puts a lot of people off, because a lot of people, as I did, to me, exercise equaled pain. Because
Mm,
when I did go to the physio before the pain management program, the physio would say, I want you to do 10 of these, 10 of these, 15 of them. And then you can get up to like 5 or 6, and the pain shoots up, and you think, this can't be right. I think
mm,
it's like I need another pair of ear rolls. So you
mm.
learn exercise or movement equals more pain. So you
Yeah.
stop doing, and I did, because the fear factor. But what I learned on the pain management program was, whereas I saw before the program, I saw exercise being not my friend, or not,
Yeah.
say enemy. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
we wasn't on friendly terms, but because we were taught a different way about pacing up, well, what can you do? Then cut back, But as I found, to me, exercise is my best buddy now, because all the while, the reason why my people have heard me earlier when I say I don't take any pain medication. Well, how the
Mm.
hell, what's going on there?
Yes.
What's going on is because every day I'm keeping active.
Yeah.
So for me, daily movement, exercise, walking. Can I give you an example of my daily
Yeah.
routine now?
Yeah.
So I get
Yes.
up in the morning and I do some yoga, just nice stretching, gentle yoga, and then
Yeah.
I'll go down the gym. Now, listen, I'm not saying everybody's got to go down the gym. Let me tell you
Yes.
from the get-go. Number one, there may not be a gym near you, but
Mm.
the thing is, well, you may not be a gym person. I
Yes.
like going down to the gym because it's social. See my buddies down, like today is Monday morning, so we're talking about the football or soccer from the weekend.
Yes.
But when I go down the gym, I do some weights, and then I do start doing some other sit-ups and stretching and whatnot. And then I finish on doing something called Qigong, which is like a form of Tai Chi,
Yes.
help with balance and whatnot. Then I have a shower, and then off I go. Then I go for a walk. I'm not one of these people that wants to be on I call it the hamster wheel, the
Yeah.
walking machine. So I've got to take myself off for a walk. I'll walk down to the railway station, grab myself a coffee, have a sit down for a little bit, and then I walk back and then get in the van and then come home again. But for
Mm.
me, keeping active is paramount, because all the while I'm active, stretching, exercising, we call it meaningful movement. Doing
Mm.
movements that I like doing.
Yes.
I don't do movements I don't like doing, because I'm not going to keep them up. And that's why they've moved away from the term self stretching, exercising, calling it meaningful movement. So that if the person chooses the movement they like to do, whether it be walking, yoga, or Tai
Yes.
Chi, doing some
Yeah.
DIY, whatever, walking group,
Yeah.
whatever.
Whatever it is, I agree with you. Whatever it is, I always say to my clients, you got to find that thing
Yeah,
that you like to do. Because if
exactly.
you don't like to do the
No, you
movement,
ain't going to
you are
do it, baby.
not going to do it,
No, you're
And for
never
some
going to.
people, it's dancing, some people it's walking the dog, some people it's cleaning
Yeah,
house, other people it's just walking in the forest, or they like to be in nature.
yeah,
Some
yeah,
people want to
yeah,
swim,
yeah,
whatever your movement
yeah,
is, it's very specific to you because I mean, you are completely right. Some people hate gym. You just say the word gym and they're like this, or exercise, and
yeah.
they're like, no, no
Oh,
way.
yeah, yeah,
That's not me, I'm not going to do that. That's not my thing. And if you have someone who even before the pain never exercised or never went to gym, then then it's not, it's not your thing. But it's exactly as you said, you have to find your thing. You have to find the thing that allows you to
yeah,
move functionally. It has to have meaning for you. I completely agree. And I love the term meaningful movement. I
yeah,
think that that's really appropriate. And I think that that's where often the wheels fall off with people going to professionals who prescribe exercise. And I don't want to call anyone out because there are good physios and bad physios, just like there are good doctors and bad doctors. There's also biokinetics. There's all kinds of people, exercise physiologists who prescribe
Yeah.
exercise. And there's nothing wrong with that because I think exercise works for different things. But I think when you have persistent pain, it has to be meaningful. It has to be something you enjoy doing because you have to do it for the rest of your life, right, Pete? You can't stop.
So, yeah, no, it's like brushing your teeth. You know,
Yeah,
it's like it becomes a habit now, like a good habit. And
yeah.
but when I obviously down the gym, they play music, and if they're playing a great song, like, do you know what, baby, I'm
Yes.
grooving along with it, you know.
Good,
It's all
good.
movement sake,
Great.
baby, I'm grooving, I know
Yes,
they start laughing at me, old boy like me, and I'm sort of, oh yeah, come on, baby, we can get in a groove, Ben
yes.
Benson comes on or something like that. So,
Yeah.
but the thing is, and dancing is great. It's fun to do, and but make that movement fun. Don't do nothing. Do because for a lot of people, oh God, I got I call it the hamster wheel. Hey, I did that for a long time, and I thought, how boring is this? Just standing there, just looking around the gym, looking at people. But when I'm out walking, I'm looking at things. I can see what's going on along the road there, and
Mm,
then a little bit of fun, as you say, like walking in nature. Hey, how about that? You can't beat
mm.
that. See all
Yes.
the wildlife and stuff like that, especially where
Yeah.
you are down
Yeah,
there.
yeah, 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 yeah. So
I'm
we
thinking,
we we very lucky. We have a lot
yeah,
of
well
we have a
jealous.
lot of nature.
Yeah,
Sometimes we have to travel a bit to get to the nature, but we do have gardens, we have parks, it's all
yeah,
those
yeah,
types of
yeah,
things. Yeah. Yeah. And
yeah.
we also have better weather. So
Well,
so there's not as much rain.
let me give you a weather report. If the sun's out at the moment,
Yes.
and it's the first time we've seen the sun in 2 weeks,
Yes.
because it's
Yes.
been grey for 2 weeks here. Anyway,
Yes. Yeah,
at the
no,
end of the
no,
weather
we're
report.
very lucky. We get to see the sky at least once a day. When I say the sky, I mean the blue sky. So
Yeah,
we're lucky. Even when it
yeah, I know,
rains,
I
we're
know.
very lucky.
And
Yeah.
can I add one more in it, which is quite an
Yes,
important
you
one?
can.
The last one
Absolutely.
really is that because we're a lot of people are overachievers, which a
Yes,
couple of them I want to talk.
agreed.
I can go on forever, but
I
the thing
agreed.
is, the last one, I don't want to go on, but because we're overachievers, like
Yeah.
we want to keep up with everybody else and stuff like that. We don't want to stand out in the crowd. I want to be like, and what we tend to do is we can overdo it. So it's important that
Mm.
you have a setback plan.
Yes,
So
agreed.
if the pain does increase, because you've overdone it for some sort of whatever reason it may be, but you've got a plan so that you're not going to be back in bed for 2 weeks or whatever, but it's a plan that you may need to cut back a little bit, perhaps cut back your activities by half, and then gradually increase them along the way. But it's important that you have a plan, but also that you don't stop doing just do nothing, because that will, in actual fact, that will lead, and can lead to not well, just longer period out of action, really, Hey, listen, and you've done such a great job of being where you are. It's about keeping on track, keeping yourself in the driving seat, etc.
Yeah, no, agreed. I completely agree. I think that is, and I'm so glad you mentioned it because it's one of the things that derails people often. They're going along well, and for whatever reason, they have a setback or a
Yeah,
flare-up of their
yeah,
pain. And then they immediately go to that space of, oh gosh, I'm going to go back to,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
not being able to get out of bed. I'm going to
uh,
go back to not being able to do things for myself because your brain's really powerful, right? And you have
yeah,
all
yeah,
these
yeah,
thoughts and emotions that happen, and then they take over.
yeah,
And despite the fact that you've come so far, you now start to think, oh, everything's going to fall apart
yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And if you don't have a plan, sometimes it does fall apart because you think, well, it's great. I got better, but now I'm back to zero again. And
You're
it's
not
not
back to
like
zero.
that.
But it's
Yeah.
why yeah, it's got a plan. Like, but
Yeah.
going back to driving again. If you
Yeah.
you find yourself in a traffic jam, you say, "Oh, okay, I'm in a traffic jam. I can't do nothing about it." Or is there a plan B? How can perhaps I can go off at the next turning. Perhaps I can find another way around to my route.
Yes.
That's problem solving as well. See, about getting yourself out of
Yeah.
the mix, like.
Yeah, agreed. I love the way that you describe it with the driving and the traffic jams. It's perfect for people to understand because it's exactly like that. You just have to find another route, right, around the obstacle. So the setback or the flare-up of the pain is actually
Yeah,
just a little obstacle. It's a little,
speed
I
bump.
always say to my clients, it's a bump in the road.
Yes,
You
a
know,
lot
it's
of
just a
speed
bump in
bump.
the road.
Yeah,
It's just a little speed bump. We're going to
yeah,
get
yeah,
over it.
yeah,
And then it's going to be fine again, but we have to
yeah,
get over it. So in order to
yeah,
get over it, these are the things that we
yeah,
now need to do, or we need to look
yeah.
at it, differently.
Have fun, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you, I love, I love the program. I always say you've got to play the game. To get back on track, you've got to put a bit of
Mm,
work in. I always
yeah.
say, people say to me, "What do you do?" I said, "Well, I've got two jobs. My
Yeah.
first job is looking after me.
Yes.
I'm self-managing patient,
Yes.
and then my second
Yes.
job is meeting lovely people like you.
Yes.
I can't
Agreed.
swap them over though. I can't swap them
Yes.
over. I've got to
No.
look after Pete first,
Yes.
Well,
Agreed.
and since I've been on the program, fantastic things about it. I've gotten back on my motorcycles
Yeah.
and riding around on those. I've missed those from back in the day.
Yeah.
The good things have happened for me. But to do all that, I've got to do the self-management stuff as well first.
Yeah. And you also, I really like what you said. You've got to look after Pete first.
Mm.
And it's amazing. I find that people with persistent pain don't do that. They want to look after their family. They want
Yeah.
to look after everybody else. They worry about their work. They worry about their work colleagues, what's going to happen, all of those things. They don't worry about themselves. They don't think about, actually, I need to
Well,
put
but
myself first and I need to look after myself first before I can worry about all these other
what do they
things.
what do they say on an aeroplane? You get on an airplane, they're doing the same.
Yeah.
They say,
Yeah.
and if we lose altitude, the oxygen mask will come down. Put
Yeah.
yours on first
Yes.
before you help other people.
Yes.
And it's the
And it's
same.
exactly
Same.
that. Yeah, it's exactly the same
Yeah.
principle. I agree. Okay, Pete. So the last thing I want to ask you is just imagine now and you might have answered this already, and it's probably going to be some advice that you've already talked about. But if you now had to meet somebody, and you do on a daily basis, meet somebody who is in that dark space, who's now, the person who's just spending a lot of time in bed, they've stopped working, they're going from doctor to doctor, they find there's no way out, they're feeling hopeless. What would be the one piece of advice you would give them, the one thing you would say to them to get them kind of to move out of that space?
It will get better, but you need a plan.
Yeah.
And I'm not brutal with people, but the thing is, they've got into a bit of a pickle. It's the medical model, the medical model traps them in,
Mm,
The only thing can fix you is having
yeah.
some people doing things to you, or taking medication, or having injections and whatnot. You've got to have a plan. You've got to have a battle plan. How are you going to get yourself out of it? You know, and uh, and that's really the start. And I always say to people, what do you think you need to be doing to get yourself out of this jam?
Mm,
Because it comes back to that getting them people back in the driving seat.
yeah.
Because what the medical model does, it takes us out of the driving seat and puts us in the passenger seat.
Yes.
Did you have driving lessons when you learned to drive a car?
Yes.
Whereabouts
Yes.
did you sit, in the driving seat or passenger seat?
Well, when I was learning to drive, I had to sit in the driver's seat.
Exactly. So again, so you had to learn other skills. So the only way you're going to do it is get yourself back in the driving seat. So what is
Yeah.
your plan? So the first plan is like we're learning to drive. We look around. Who's going to help you? You're looking around for
Yeah.
a
For
qualified
someone to teach you.
instructor. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
finding someone like yourself,
Yes.
that is the first protocol, because once you've got one person like yourself, a pain coach,
Yes.
and then it
It'll
will,
lead to the others. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Because what I often find is when people come to me, they're so hopeless. They feel so lost. They almost, when you start talking to them, they almost can't imagine that they'll have a different life. They can't imagine that the answer to getting better is actually quite simple. It's not
no,
that,
no, no.
it's not a it's not a difficult, convoluted answer. It's actually quite simple things that you have to
I
do.
know, yeah.
But I think that people have, when you're in that dark space and everything has, you've gone from doctor to doctor, and the doctors make things quite complicated sometimes with surgeries and interventions and injections and all of that. And then people are like, well, the answer can't just be that I find support and then I start moving. Like, surely there's more to this. You know, don't I have to take a pill? Don't I have to have some other surgery? Or don't I have to, you know, have some device that I strap on that's going to work? You know, I think we always think that there's this big answer out there that's complicated and it's, you know, advanced and it's etc. But actually, the answers are very simple. They're very
I know.
simple.
Do I look like a rocket scientist? Do I look like a no?
No,
No, I mean, and if I can do it, also people, if I can do it, you can do it. Because I
exactly.
haven't got one academic bone in my body.
Exactly. Yeah. If
Just
you
keep
can
it
do it,
simple.
everyone can do it. And I
Yeah,
believe
keep
that.
it
I
simple.
think
Have
you just
fun.
have to give people the hope that actually you just have to get on the right path, find the right people to support you, and you're on your way. You know, like you said, it's like learning to drive. You got
If
to
you
learn to drive.
also people, you want to be a winner, hang around the winners.
Yes, agreed. Agreed. Oh, thank you, Pete. I've got 5 minutes for you if you want to say anything else about what you do or point people in the right direction of where to go to find help.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was just very simple. I authored the Pain Toolkit, which is a little booklet that I wrote back in the early 2000s. Um, Very simple. As I say, I'm not an academic person, but it was something people seem to like it. The Department of Health used to print it off here in the UK. And also there's the Pain Toolkit website. Um, People seem to like it. Again, you see, it's very simple information. And
Yeah.
I've tried to make the website for every type of learner. And I think one of because you know, as you know, as a coach, like how do people learn? Do they learn
Yes.
watching, reading, or through
Mm.
taking part, listening?
Yes.
And to
Yeah.
me, on the website there, I've tried to cater for every type of learner. Um, in February, we're doing myself and a buddy of mine over in Canada, Keith Meldrum. We're doing the third World Pain Self-Management Conference. It starts at a bit of a bonkers time in the morning, though. It's going to be recorded, but it's a donation only. It's on the 8th of February next year, and we've got some
Yeah.
great speakers. We're trying to role model actually to
Yeah.
how the pain organisation. So we've got three healthcare professionals as presenters, and also three self-managers. Uh,
Good.
One from New Zealand, one from America. I can't remember where the other one's from, but anyway, but
Yeah.
that's the third one we've done. It's very well received. But just listen, you know, it's not about me promoting. That's the Pain Toolkit. If you want to check it out, it's www.paintoolkit.org. But I think,
Yeah.
as I say, my last really message to anyone watching this is just, as I said earlier on, if I can do it, you can do it. But you've got to have some faith in yourself. But you've got to get off your butt and do something. You know,
Yeah.
it's not gonna. And also, the best coach. If you want to find the best coach, get yourself a mirror,
I
because
love it.
at the end of the day, you're going to be the one that's going to have to do the work.
Yes.
But you'll need a pain coach to give
Yeah.
you some guidance. Like just think like you
Yeah.
need a drive, but you're
Yes.
learning lifelong skills, and honestly, life will be
Yeah.
so much
No,
fun.
I agree with you completely. I always say to my clients, we're going to get there, but 50% of the work is on you.
Yeah,
I
oh, yeah,
can't do
yeah,
it. I can
yeah.
give you all the tools, I can teach you all kinds of things, but if you don't do the work,
Yeah, no.
I
It's,
really can't help
it's,
you, you know.
it's like
You've
me.
got to put an effort in.
It's like me writing to dear Arnold Schwarzenegger. I've read your book. Now
Yes.
send me the muscles.
Yes.
You know, it's you've got to put the effort in, like you know. But
Yes.
it ain't as hard as you think. Like you know, just have a
No.
battle plan. It'll be just
Yes. Yes. I agree. Thank you so much for the positive messages. And I really hope it's going
fine.
to, you know,
Yeah,
lots of people are going to watch it. But yeah, thank you so much, Peter. I really
no worries.
appreciate your
Thank
time.
you. Thank you.